Welcome back. You're watching Business Morning on Channels Television. Well, just before we go to the global market, I talked about the new guidelines for the Bureau de Change market earlier and what the House of Representatives' position is on it. Well, I have on the line now Mr. Bismarck Rewane, the CEO of Financial Derivatives Company, to give us an insight of what those guidelines mean and what their implications could be for the Nigerian economy. Good morning, Mr. Rewane.
Good morning, Chimeze.
Right. When the central bank came up with those guidelines, were you surprised?
No. Every governor of the central bank has always come up with new guidelines in terms of sanitizing the Bureau de Change space, because this is a space that deals with alternative sources of foreign exchange. When it is fragmented and saturated with all sorts of marginal players, there are also times that you want to sanitize the space. But it's also, the sanitization always coincides with times when the currency is under pressure. So people begin to wonder whether the sanitization is for the sake of sanitization or to sanitize it to ensure that there's no pressure on the currency. Now, having said that, the question comes about why are you doing it at this time and what will the effect be? The effect is that it will actually, in sanitizing it, will reduce the number of players in a space. When you reduce the number of players in a space, the amount of foreign currency available may reduce, which means that it will make the parallel market depreciate a little bit more and increase the divergence between the official and the parallel market rate. But initially it will cause some disruption, but to the extent that this is a very small portion of total economic activity, in theory it shouldn't have that much of an impact.
Okay. Now, the reason the central bank gave for coming up with such guideline is to check the excesses of the Bureau de Change operators. Now, would you say that this is actually the right approach to go about this?
No,
yes, they considered the foreign reserve and the pressure on the Naira, but could this have been the right approach?
I don't agree. Normally there are many approaches to dealing with a problem, but I don't agree that the way to deal with currency values is actually to use administrative tools, because it only makes it much more difficult to deal with what is the fair value of the currency. If the fair value of the currency, once the demand for a product increases, the thing to do is to increase the price so that the demand will reduce. That is the natural way of dealing with this kind of thing. But almost every government, almost every administration in this country and in most other countries always try to defend their currencies against the fair value. Sooner or later, you will have to make that adjustment, which is inevitable. Charles Soludo did it, Sanusi Lamido did it, and the new governor is also doing it. The reality is that when the currency value is equilibrated, you have to decide when and how and what stages you're going to take to bring the currency to a fair value, in which case there'll be no need to actually make this adjustment. Having said that, but if the parallel market is dominated by money launderers and other characters, it will be necessary also to sanitize that space. So you can sanitize without the view of adjusting the value of the currency. But if the currency pressure is there, then you have to deal with the currency pressure by adjusting rather than adding administrative tools to it.
Now, the minimum capital requirement for the operation of BDC in Nigeria has been reviewed to upwards to 35 million naira. Do you think that is much?
Well, I don't know that. I don't know how much capital they require to do their business. But if you are dealing in foreign currency at 165 or 167 naira to a dollar, then obviously you will need some capital to actually fund your working capital. So I have no doubt about the fact that is necessary. To intervene in the question of capital structure for Bureau de Changes. I think there are more important things facing the Nigerian economy, like the PIB and other things, than worrying about the capital structure of Bureau de Changes.
Now, one of the concerns of the central bank is the fact that this bureau de change, the ownership of multiple bureau de change, you find one person owning 2 bureau de changes, and I wonder, what's your take on that?
It doesn't matter if one man can have 10 car dealerships. You see, the reason why once you start controlling the number of players in an industry, then you are beginning to administratively interfere. The marketplace will take care of it. If he has 3 bureau de change and he has to pay 3 managing directors and pay this, nobody will tell him before if he can do everything under one roof, why does he need 3 licenses?
No, but that's exactly what they want to, discourage.
Yes. You see, the way to discourage it is that if the value of the currency is in equilibrium, there will be no need to have 2. As a matter of fact, it will be difficult for you to even have 1.
Right. So are you in support of what the House of Representatives is saying? They are asking that...
No, I'm not in support of that. I'm not in support of what the House of... I'm in support of the fact that the central bank has a responsibility to sanitize the industry. But I'm also in support of the fact that if the currency is allowed to find its fair value, there will be hardly any need to sanitize the space, because the space will sanitize itself, because nobody can participate in a business where the profitability is limited because of fair value.
All right. Thank you very much,
thank you very much,
Mr. Ruwani.
Thank you.
Right. That was Mr. Bismarck Ruwani, the CEO of Financial Derivatives Company Limited, giving us an insight of what the new guidelines for bureau de change operators could actually mean for the economy. Now, let's take a quick look at the market outside our shores, beginning with the U.S. The stocks there fell on Thursday as government data prompted downward revisions to U.S. economic growth in the second quarter. And after James Bullard, head of the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, said interest rates could increase sooner than expected. After a 140-point fall, the Dow Jones Industrial Average shed 21.38 points to 16,846.13, with Walmart stores pacing blue-chip losses that extended to 22 of 30 components. The S&P 500 fell 2.31 points to 1,957.22, with consumer staples and financials leading sector losses, and utilities and energy the best performing among its 10 major sectors. The Nasdaq declined less than 1 point to 4,379.05. In Asia, equity markets also declined today following hawkish comments from a Federal Reserve official. Also weighing on the sentiment was data showing that U.S. consumer spending rose less than expected in May, which led many economists to pare back growth forecasts for the second quarter. Japanese shares in the K225 fell to a more than 1-week low, despite data showing that May core consumer prices rose at their fastest pace since 1982. The mainland shares, the Shanghai Composite, traded in a narrow range throughout the session after investigators discovered $15 billion in gold-backed loans on Thursday that could be fraudulent. The findings came after authorities suspected improper loans backed by metals at the ports of Qingdao and Penglai. And Hong Kong Hang Seng also ended in the red. In Europe, markets opened in the green today. We saw FTSE 100 trading up at 0.11%, DAX at 0.19%, and CAC 40 at 0.37%. We will take a short break now. When we return, we'll go straight to our conversation. Like I said earlier, today we're going to be looking at 2 reports from Ernst & Young, looking at Global Consumer Banking Survey 2014, and of course, their Global Fraud Survey. Do stay with us.